The DeShaun Foster hiring is already reaping so many benefits already for UCLA. What's changed? Let's talk about it.
You are Locked On UCLA, your daily podcast on the UCLA Bruins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, everybody, to this edition of the Locked On UCLA podcast. I'm your host, Zach Anderson-Yoxsimer. Thanks for making the show your first podcast, and it's available on YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for your support. Hey, this episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. If you're a new customer, join today to get 150 in bonus bets. If your first bet of $5 or more wins, visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started. All right, so this is where we go. All right. After Chip Kelly, there was a lot of disarray. The attendance is down, mixed in with COVID and everything. There hasn't been as much apathy for UCLA football as there's been in quite some time under the tutelage of Chip Kelly. He leaves, you bring in DeShaun Foster. And what we're talking about today is the changes already being spoken to, attempted to be implemented before UCLA's official move into Big Ten membership come August of 2024. What has changed for DeShaun Foster? What is he trying to do? He is trying to bring this energy, a complete different energy, a youthful energy, a new energy, an interest in a city, in a town, in a place in Southern California that's booming with so many things to do, so many more intriguing events that any sporting event, any team is already trying to pull you away and get you to go to their games. Well, how is DeShaun Foster going to try and reinvigorate this program, turn it into a franchise, which is how college football is turning into with the way NIL is being supported by other programs across the country, specifically the South, some Midwest programs, how NIL is being supported in different ways that is not necessarily supposed to be. Well, DeShaun Foster's already talked about one, opening practice. Remember, Chip Kelly wasn't always the most warm and fuzzy with the media. He was a little more loquacious with the media the last season, but he still wasn't the most, I wouldn't say friendly is the right word, but he wasn't forthcoming with the most information like most guys aren't. The biggest thing is DeShaun Foster trying to say, open practice, come to our practice, come enjoy this team, come learn who your Bruins are. And the biggest thing is what we've been talking about is reviving the spring game. And that's what he's talking about. Come sell it out for the spring game in the Rose Bowl. And that's what he's already talked about in his introductory press conference, trying to go talk with the men of Westwood NIL, meeting specifically, getting on their socials and promoting it and making that integration together, making it a synergy and not just throwing it away like we're in a dystopian society like Chip Kelly's making it seem with how NIL is going. And it's certainly fractured college football, but UCLA should certainly be a part of it, be a part of the movement, enjoying it until something changes, be part of the path that makes it better for UCLA athletes, not that they're missing out by coming to UCLA, but what they're missing out going to other universities instead of coming to UCLA. That's what DeShaun Foster is trying to do, being a Bruin, being there. And yes, despite the lack of head coaching experience, trying to work on who the offensive coordinator is and all these things at the recording of this podcast, there is none, to my knowledge, or any who's in the works. The big thing is for DeShaun Foster is the spring game, and then all of a sudden, maybe not necessarily him especially, but why has UCLA not had an NIL store open? It's officially opened, and that could be game-changing. Name, image, likeness. That is specifically what an NIL store is. You can go buy jerseys with the player's name officially now with UCLA merchandise. Maybe you had to put it on the back of your jersey. Maybe you had all these other things. But something that's taken UCLA so long to implement, so long to bring forth, this is exactly what NIL is supposed to do. Right? You buy a jersey with the kid's name and number on the back, they should get a little credit. What I talk about with Collins Pong when he went from Miami to UCLA, you go to his bio on the Miami Athletics webpage and find a place to go buy his jersey, and that would find a way to donate to his NIL campaign of sorts, right? Now you can go with the new UCLA NIL store and go buy an Osborne jersey, right, for UCLA women's hoops. Go buy a UCLA football jersey. Get a Garbers mixed in there. Maybe you want something that says DeShaun Foster. That is what it's supposed to do. And I'm not sure the timing isn't so coincidental, right? You're bringing a new head coach, and maybe there's a slight coincidence, but it's going to be pushed even further with, hey, this is a new PR campaign moving forward into the future that UCLA has been stuck in the past, stuck with the lack of donor support, stuck with lack of everything. And now, with, I think, the reports and the numbers, more love going into the NIL collective with support and donors, which is basically a new avenue for donors to directly support the athletes that are coming to UCLA or currently enrolled and in the programs athletically for UCLA. It needs the support. That campaign needs to go together. There's already big changes just with the anti-Chip Kelly. Martin Germont, he could try and spin everything he wants. We know exactly that UCLA flubbed the firing of Chip Kelly, whether it's MJ's fault specifically, whether it's Gene Block, the lack of Wasserman support, anything, it was flubbed. But what UCLA has is a new infusion, a team that is supportive of their coach just from the video alone, just from the new hype, the new energy brought in by a younger coach, someone who wants to be a UCLA Bruin, regardless of how his playing career ended. And just, hey, come to the spring game. Let's have a spring game. Let's open practice. Let's show the rest of everybody what UCLA is. And then all of a sudden the NIL store's opening. All those things together signifies what hopes to be a much better leap into Big Ten membership moving forward. All that together, I think, can spell a much more aligned effort as UCLA athletics to move forward with the football program, men's and women's basketball, all these other sports that are making the jump to Big Ten membership, which is going to help or hurt the athletics department as a whole. They got all this money coming in. They got to prepare to make the best of it. And they've been behind. Now it's a time to try and bridge the gap where they're behind, get a little closer. And if UCLA's closer, they're not going to necessarily lead the game in NIL, but being in the ballpark is going to help get recruits. It's going to help impact the stadium. And then the addition of the student section sitting behind in the Rose Bowl, the visiting teams to give expanded student section seating, which should be the case. UCLA should find as many avenues to bring students from Westwood to Pasadena as possible, sit them, make life miserable for opposing teams, all that leading to a better game experience, more miserable game day experience for the visiting team, enhanced student section, cheering atmospheres, all that together. Man, that's just the off the field stuff. That's not even the X's and O's and they're trying to improve. Immediately in the less than a week since DeShaun Foster has been hired, all these things have been announced and trying to improve everything. That is a huge sign and should lead directly to UCLA's success in the future, either immediately, and no, it's not going to translate to 10 wins in 1 year, but this is the foundation. And in 1 week, they're rolling out everything from the store to the expanded student section cheering parts to just a synergy between DeShaun Foster and men of Westwood and hopefully NIL collectives that can help jump up for UCLA together. That is a big thing. That's going to look good. You know what's going to look good? The new UCLA commit, although a walk-on, who is the latest commit for UCLA's 24 class, an NBA great, his son. Let's talk about that next on Locked On UCLA. Go get your buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins, because all you gotta do is bet all your favorite NBA players and teams and visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and shoot your shot. FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NBA. All right, you know, in this show, you're going to get a lot of in-depth analysis, hot takes, right? Well, my hottest take of the day is that the best lineup in LA right now was the one of auto loans at Logix. Starting off with the favorites, the proven and dependable new and used vehicle loans. You can count on these guys to give you new and low rates, save you big time bucks. And they've got exciting new rookie sensations. They're electric vehicle loans that got super low rates and flexible payment terms. To round out the lineup, they're auto refinancing loans and lease buyout loans. These guys can help you lower your monthly payments and get on the road to owning your car faster. Because I know it's a hot take. It's a hot take, but no one can seriously beat. Seriously, nobody can beat this lineup at Logix. So visit your local Logix branch right here in LA or in the surrounding areas and let one of their amazing team members help you. Just apply online in minutes at logixbanking.com. That's LOGIX, logixbanking.com. All right, second segment here of Locked On UCLA. Zach with you guys. The Bruins got an interesting commit to Mick Cronin's class of 2024. Why is it significant? How is it going to help and potentially be impactful for Mick Cronin going forward? All right. When does any walk-on generally a good potential low-risk, high-reward situation, right? Well, you've got Christian Ory. Wait, Big Shot Bob? The Big Shot Robert? Is that that's Robert Ory's son, who is currently playing at Harvard Westlake, committed on Friday, February 6th, or said late on February 15th that he was committing to UCLA on a tweet, X, whatever you want to call it, and I don't know what you call them nowadays, that he was committing to UCLA via what he put it on social media. This wouldn't be possible without my family, God, and my friends. I appreciate everyone who believed in me and supported me throughout this journey. Thank you to Coach Savino and everyone on the UCLA staff for believing in me and helped me reach my dreams. Blue and gold hearts. And then hashtag Go Bruins, him in a UCLA uniform wearing the number 15. Nice blue and gold UCLA trim. So this is somebody who is looking to be a walk-on 2024 6'3" shooting guard out of Harvard Westlake coming in. And it's interesting, right? Sometimes you see these divas, right? Remember, you had Sharif O'Neal. I'm not going to say he's a diva because I don't know him personally, and Sharif, and I know he had heart trouble and everything. But you've got like Shaq's son. You had these NBA stars. Remember how everything went with the Ball brothers and how much of a show it was. First, Lonzo Ball, who I think lived up to the hype, but then you had LiAngelo in that situation in China. Then you had the likes of LaMelo, who's a superstar. But you have like the big name guys who can bring drama behind the scenes with their NBA great fathers or people who led players to championships, everything. And the big thing is, this is a kid who is playing with some great players at Harvard Westlake. And one, this is someone who can really jump into as a guy who's 10-5 averaging in high school, 10 points, 5 boards, 42% from three. And yet he could be, if he gets this coachability like thing, you add him in with Eric Freeney, whose ability and has been touted as the Centennial kid, our only signed guy for UCLA going into 24 so far from Mick Cronin. You got coachable guys, one a 4-star, rising 4-star. You got Ory, who's coming in as a guy that had mid-major offers, maybe some looks from Cal, gets this walk-on offer and accepts it. This isn't your typical walk-on come in. This is somebody who, one, could potentially be a scholarship guy later, kind of maybe fill in depending on what exodus there might be from UCLA, if there's any. Right now, I'm not sure with the current surge that we're going to talk about in a minute, how UCLA is going. But if players are playing well and they get their pro status elevated to their highest level, they might jump or hit the portal, get some. You never know what in this day and age, how a whole roster may or may not stay intact, even with Mick Cronin's coaching ability and his ability to grow this UCLA program. Ory comes in, someone who can maybe grind it out, and just the ability to want to stay home, that, hey, he's coming in, not even offered a scholarship. And the big thing is he's got his teammate, 2025, Nicholas Kamenia, if I'm saying that name correctly. That's who UCLA is looking at in the next recruiting class, when the Bruins are going to have to recycle these guys who have been here in 23, 24, maybe 25, 2 or 3 years. Mick Cronin's got to recycle this huge class that he got in 23 via the portal with Stefanovic and all the internationals and the freshmen who will all basically be gone by then probably. This is one going to help later recruiting, help hopefully coachability, and the willingness to be coached tough, as we know Mick Cronin can be, and it's instill even more toughness in a program that when somebody who comes in and wants to steal your spot, whether it's Dylan Andrews, whether it's McClendon, whoever is going to be next year, and hopefully it's probably still those guys with lots of eligibility left, someone to push Sebastian Mack, push these guys to the limit, and maybe be someone who can maybe earn a scholarship, or just someone who could lead and lend into a 25 target in Nicholas Kamenia, who's also in Harvard Westlake. You bring in that, you're bridging the gap between future seasons, maybe getting a head start on recruiting a top-tier SoCal recruit who UCLA is trying to get. We'll see how it goes. And then you add all these things. Hey, this is a guy who can have a lot of upside. even if it's not on the court, off the court recruiting, there's a lot of play here for UCLA and not your typical walk-on recruit. And it's not going to be daddy ball. This is somebody that could hopefully bring more in, maybe than just the name on the jersey, but grow to be a useful UCLA player, a scholarship hopefully for him. And then two, or a third thing, bring in more recruits, bring in a Harvard Westlake pipeline and see how that rolls. Speaking of pipeline, UCLA's found one to victory again and again and again. The Bruins knock off Colorado, big dub at home in Pauley Pavilion. We're going to wrap up this show and talk about that next on Locked On UCLA. Let me tell you about Gametime, because they're the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy events right near you. And right now, all users get $100 off when they buy a big game ticket with the code VEGAS100. That's Vegas100. So with the killer last minute deals, all in prices, you want to go check out Gametime because it's the only ticketing app that gives you complete peace of mind with your purchase. You can see the view from your seats. You're not sitting behind some weird pole or some weird look. If you want to make sure you know what you're doing, you'll know exactly what to expect when you arrive. All in prices to show your total up front, so you know you're getting a great deal before you check out. And 2 taps, you can buy your tickets in seconds. Take the guesswork out of buying with Gametime. Right now, all Gametime users get $100 off a big game ticket with Vegas100. Terms apply. Just download the Gametime app and use the code VEGAS100. That's VEGAS100, Vegas100 for $100 off a big game ticket. Or if you're not going to the game, use Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Check it out on for your first purchase. All right, cruising in last segment, right? UCLA men's basketball is on quite a surge. They have not lost since losing at Arizona in Tucson when they blew a 19-point lead in the McHale Center. They have since won 6 in a row, starting with the win at USC where they dominated the Trojans. The surge really started against Arizona State when they came back, beat the Sun Devils, had a big chance to beat Arizona, where their resume could have been even closer to tournament range, but right now they're still not even close to that bubble. Just a couple of games out of first place, needing Arizona to lose to even tie for first place. Right now, the Bruins coming off the heels of a 64-60 win against Colorado. The Buffs fell to 16-9, 7-7 in Pac-12 play. The surging UCLA team is 9-5 in Pac-12 play, pushing for second, pushing for a much better opportunity in the Pac-12 tournament, which currently is their only path to the NCAA tournament if they can win through. But they did improve to 14-11. They're up against Colorado 9 points at the break, led by as many as 13, 14 points in that game, and largely kept Cody Williams, kept Tristan Da Silva, Tag Boyle and company in check because UCLA just does not turn over the ball. Remember these games when they go to Oregon? Couldn't handle the half-court pressure. Couldn't handle the last-second pressure against Arizona in the second half where they turned it over again and again. In this game, what won this game for UCLA? The ability to get to the line 18 times to Colorado's 10. And while they didn't convert at a clip, they did make 12 of 18. They had 5 turnovers. And another big thing in this game for UCLA was they're even on the boards, and Sebastian Mack has found the ability to finish at the rim. There's been games where we see Mack or some sort of Bruin hit a flurry of three-point shots. And other than Dylan Andrews hitting a couple, the three-point shooting was non-existent. Not a lot of takes. 12 is not as many as we've seen UCLA take this year, but a large, closer number to their average, 4 of 12. Nothing to really write home about other than not a lot. Adem Bona, serviceable night, 14-7, but 4 personal fouls. But Sebastian Mack and his ability to finish at the rim consistently again and again, push the pace, get a couple of steals, make some buckets. So when you're winning the turnover battle by +9 and you're only forcing 14 turnovers and you're winning by +9, that is the ability by UCLA to score so many points off turnovers. UCLA, 19 points off turnovers in this game against Colorado. Colorado only scored 4 off of UCLA's 5. Making it interesting there, but the Bruins are flipping the script. Instead of turning it over, not getting boards, or they're not hitting shots, Different games, they're hitting threes. Another game, it's offensive rebounding. Next game, it's another thing. This game, it was lack of turnovers and forcing Colorado into mistakes. Remember, in 2023, it was a big surge at Pauley Pavilion that led to a UCLA win. This game, the Bruins had a big lead. It let Colorado get back in it. The Bruins had to pull away late, some clutch jumpers, whether it was from Stefanovic from the elbow, a clutch three late, knocks down some shots, even though they let Colorado down 7, come all the way back, have a chance to tie it late. UCLA did what they needed to do, stop that last second play. We're seeing great minutes. Adayamara is getting 2 points, 2 blocks in 5 minutes. Those were almost useless minutes, whether he was getting 5 to 12 minutes earlier in the year. Those are just throwaway minutes. Now he's getting more minutes than Nuba, and he's getting impactful minutes. And even though Will McClendon is not hitting threes, you take away 3-point attempts from McClendon, UCLA is almost shooting 50% from threes as a team. Andrew's shooting close to 50%. He's got 13 points, showcasing the basketball. And a team that didn't pass it a lot. 8 assists on 24 field goals. A lot of Sebastian Mack getting to the cup, making layups, getting down in transition a little bit in 5 fast break points. The Bruins are finding different ways to win. And they were always finding ways to lose. And they would have found a way in this, if this game was early January, December, or November, to lose this game. That's how this team was playing. And they've come all the way back, 6 in a row, to even get Ben Bulge, LA Times, get me excited about not only the Pac-12 tournament, but hey, looking at Lenardi saying, do you got your eye on the Bruins? Because this team is red hot like they were in 1920. If they can win, keep winning, all of a sudden, they're a unique conversation. They're a big brand blue blood that is generally going to get more sway in the NCAA selection committee. You just have to say it. That's the case. The way the Bruins are playing, Mick Cronin talks about, just proud to be even sniffing the conversation if they get close to it. Right now, not close. Because the next thing up is to get revenge on the Utah Utes, who have they have something, right? And the Bruins had to give them back for that slaughter in Salt Lake City. You come back a month later, beat a team that beat you by 50 and practically laughed you off the gym, who is currently floating around bubble territory, and the Bruins are starting to take these teams down one by one. That is the sign of a huge in-season turnaround that did not even seem possible for this team a month ago. But a win against Washington, ASU, you start to go back. You then sweep the Bay Area schools. Revenge coming in. You go beat Salt Lake City. I remember seeing a comment saying, I'll believe that they can go win through and beat Utah. This is this makeup game. This is the revenge game you circle on your calendar where you got a week off. You can rest up for USC, which will be a crazy, impactful, rivalry-filled game now that Collier is back there, even though they're at the bottom of the conference. UCLA's got something to say, and they can say it with a big statement dub at home against Utah because they're still a very tough team to beat, and the Bruins have a chance to make that statement. If they make a loud statement, go beat them by 30, that would be a huge 80-point turnaround basically in a month. That they got to go out and play and do that. You keep getting those wins, you beat USC, all of a sudden, March comes around, and we're getting a little mad in a good way. And it's time to start feeling it. Because UCLA's got to win the rest of their games and get to the Pac-12 tournament final if they want to even sniff the bubble. At this point, you want to get the best seeding possible to put themselves in position to win the Pac-12 tournament and make the NCAA tournament, where there would be a dangerous out. Dangerous out. You would not want UCLA in their bracket right now. But they still have ways where they slowly don't close out games. They let leads slip away in the snap of a finger. And there's still things to clean up. But for now, excited and ready to see how it goes. Just like you should be to get your hands up for an 8 clap, baby. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. UCLA. UCLA. Fight, fight, fight. This has been Locked On UCLA. It's Zach signing off. Go Bruins.